I'm Frank Crowley. I live in Westbrook, and this is a launch of a new series that's piggybacking on the old Poetry of Immigrants, and we won't neglect them, but the art of poetry has generated a lot of interest in terms of composition, process. So process is a good question. How do you create a poem? And it's different for each one of us. I'd like to actually dedicate this show, this half, to Breonna Taylor. That's Breanno. Say the name. Breonna Taylor. Thank you. I'm glad to be back. I was depressed for 6 months and hiding under the covers for all the obvious reasons. And this is a lifeblood, so welcome in to a premiere show of the art of poetry. And sitting with me is the Reverend Alex, who will tell you a lot about himself, I hope. And he'll also read a couple of original poems. And maybe one for humor that balances. So we're in black, which signifies mourning, but it's also somehow for me today a symbol of hope, because here we go with the rainbow too. Dear Alex, thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
it's a pleasure to be here.
We've been out of it for 7 months.
Oh, it
That's
seems
all of us.
so much longer.
Oh, yeah.
So much longer.
So much longer. Tell me about that. How long have you been feeling this?
Since March, basically.
Yeah, early March. Yeah.
I live a fairly solitary life, as it is, but this was too much.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
I think solitary or holy poverty is a good thing if it's a choice, but it's not. It's
No.
not such a good thing. And what an honor to be here for a show dedicated to Breonna Taylor.
Thank you. I love your discriminating mind. You know, you make really good distinctions when you explain a concept. Thank you for that.
Sure.
We've known each other for probably 30 years.
Yeah, at least.
At least. And it's really a pleasure to do this with you after 30 years of history.
It's a pleasure to still be here, actually.
Isn't it? Tell us about that.
It's called life.
It's called life. Yeah.
Getting off the curb, getting up in the morning.
Getting up in the morning, yeah. So what did you do when you first got up this morning?
Oh, I basically was nudged and pudged and begged to get up, but I just wanted to sleep in. The first thing I did was stretch,
And you're relaxed.
I relaxed,
Yeah. Morning rituals, cup of coffee,
They're very important.
and a very portable poetry book. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
That's my bliss. Of course, the cat's here. Came back after running away for the first time last night. Oh, think not I am faithful to a vow. Faithless am I, save to love's self alone. Were you not lovely, I would leave you now. After the feet of beauty fly my own. Were not you still my hunger's rarest food and water ever to my wildest thirst, I would desert you. Think not, but I would, and seek another, as I sought you first. But you are mobile as the veering air, and all your charms more changeful than the tide, wherefore to be inconstant is no care. I have but to continue at your side, so wanton, light and false. My love, are you, I am most faithless when I am most true. I haven't got a clue, except for the irony
The paradox of it.
And the paradox, that's the right word, Alex. Thanks. The paradox of it, that's forget the metaphor. Paradox is such a useful poetic device. And it goes with irony in our current situation. So, First Fig and other poems, Edna St. Vincent Millay. If I were to choose a modern poet who has musical perfection, Edna St. Vincent Millay. I wrote a poem that she takes my breath away. So, that's a morning for me.
I'm not so much of an amateur. But look, going back to paradox, when you say paradox is life, and life is just a series of paradoxes, and that's why things like poetry and music are used to describe that paradox where words fail.
Oh, man, you got that right. You nailed it. Say that again, please.
Oh,
that
really?
was so beautiful.
That life is just a series of paradoxes.
Life is a series of paradoxes, ambiguities. What's happening now? Just look at, the TV, and that's an echo of what'll be coming in the second half of the show. Oh, don't change the channel, but yes. What do you do?
Well, how do you describe it? How can you communicate it? You can't with words.
You can't with words. But music.
Poetry.
Oh, poetry. And music, for me, has always been 100% emotion. Maybe it's just me being so skewed, but that's what led me to poetry in the first place. Paradox, man, that's it.
Paradox.
Oh.
Ultimately. Only because we have this dualistic perspective. And at some level where poetry goes, like in Rumi, he goes to that place where there is no other, and that's pure bliss. So if you can go there with Rumi, it's the only way to get there.
We can wrap the show now. That
Okay.
was it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
My poems are...
You just said it, man. You nailed it again. Rumi. Oh, if we could just get the whole country to go back to Rumi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just back to love, back to basics,
Back
back
to
to
love.
rapture, romance.
So that's what that poem's about. Love and romance and rapture and the paradox of both and not at the same time.
That poem seems like that love needed a 12-step program.
That poem needs a 12-step program. Tell me what you know about 12-step, but first, read me your poem.
Oh, the good one? No. I have two poems. One has...
You are too modest, my friend. You truly are.
Yeah.
You may not have it chock full of metaphors, but you're going to let fly a few paradoxes.
This poem is for the metaphorically impaired, which...
Metaphorically impaired. That's the first time I've ever heard that expression.
Really, and I want some suggestions I will describe. Well, I was listening to some poetry last night. It was very deep and profound.
Last night.
And the metaphors were so alien to me, it was like listening to another language for the first time. My brain just couldn't process it. So it was then I realized I must be somewhat metaphorically impaired.
You know what? That has been described as some people are born with a metaphoric imagination. I mean, Henry James novels were pure metaphor. And then action in between the lines, but structured on metaphor. A lot of poems have what we call extended metaphor. So you start with one like Robert Frost. She is as is a silken tent that is the mother of the family. And it's only by that central cedar pole holding fast that the family stays together. So it's a sonnet, and it's 14 lines of an extended metaphor.
Right. It's exactly that symbolism of the tent that communicates so much where words fail.
Yeah.
Exactly. The visceral feeling of mother's love and protection. If you are fortunate to have that. Not everyone I've known has had that experience.
I wish I had more, personally. Anyway, that's Frost. What a metaphoric guy, huh?
Totally.
The silken tent. Oh, man.
Well, my poem is going to be pretty, I think this is a good baseline for something that lacks any depth whatsoever. I'm not being self-critical.
You are too modest, my friend.
When I see you again, when will I see you again? Hard to answer, even harder to ask. When you ask that question, I can say it's your naivete. When I ask that question, it seems like a pathetic plea. There is a song, How Can Something Be So Wrong? The song I sing is, How Can Something So Wrong Feel So Right? I beat myself up thinking about you too much. But when I do, a smile hits my face. So it isn't that bad, and it's never sad. In some ways, it's even rad. I approach my friends assuming horror and disdain. They say only to enjoy this newfound gain. I wonder, is he playing me? Is this a game? But when I kiss you and you shake your head, like something hit you with a burning gaze, speaking soft, sweet words in the most natural ways. The word you say, never die, never dead. Am I teaching you or are you teaching me? I want to show you what love is. And then I realize I've foolishly fallen into my own trap, where I know nothing, feeling like a sap. Feeling vulnerable, I long to see you laugh, talk your dreams and hear your rap. Once I caught a drop of sweat gathering on your brow from falling into your eye, while reading the words of a poet under a sunny, limitless sky. You seemed surprised. Truth was, so was I. You hope in your heart, keep nothing hidden. I recoil, thinking it forbidden. At the end of the day, I find myself wishing you peace, that you always find love that treats you well. Forever grateful I had this story to tell.
Oh, that is so generous in thought and emotion. You are Garcia Lorca today.
Really?
Really? Oh, read a couple of lines of Garcia. And I never inquired, do you speak Spanish?
I'm learning.
You're learning.
Process.
I am too.
Do we have that one?
It's okay. You know what happens to me?
What?
I'm up here, and then I was going to read my very special, and then it disappears. Ooh, yeah.
The first time in my life. Maybe I'm a little bit more than metaphorically impaired.
Not by that last poem, you're not. Oh.
To find a kiss of yours. To find a kiss of yours, what would I give? A kiss that strayed from your lips, dead to love. My lips taste the dirt of shadows. To gaze at your dark eyes, what would I give? Dawns of rainbow garnet fanning open before God. The stars blinded them one morning in May. And to kiss your pure thighs, what would I give? Raw rose crystal, sediment of the sun.
What imagery he always comes, and this is in translation, you know, so there's always the translator's art that's a filter, but his imagery is what grabs us, doesn't it?
Raw rose crystal, sediment of the sun.
Yeah, where did he get that? Yeah. So the poet has a kind of metaphor in his mind as a chip, but also the imagery from a poet of that quality, even, as I say, through translation, comes in and grabs you. Rumi's the same in many ways, isn't he? Yeah.
In a much more romantic sense.
Yeah, in a romantic sense. I'd love to hear your other poem.
Sure. This one's called Night Sweats.
You're really
Oh, sorry.
building on a wonderful first impression, though,
Oh,
because I've never heard that one, but the first one. What a
Yeah, I'm just an amateur. Actually,
what
this
a
poem
hard-
wasn't written as a poem. It was more to record an
sure.
experience.
Oh, sure. And that's grist for the mill. But that first poem is just so celebratory of love and all of its paradoxes. And if you ever rewrite it, stick it in a metaphor,
Yeah, I get some depth.
just for fun.
I have a feeling if I watch this show, I will get some ideas for some metaphors.
Oh, I bet you
I'm
will.
really looking forward to the season. I have to say that
Oh, how wonderful.
you teach so much and share so much. It's inspiring.
Thanks, Alex.
Even somebody who's challenged like me will get something from it.
And thank you for saying that, because this is an opportunity for this show to enter into the living rooms Monday nights at 8 o'clock when all my neighbors up in Safe Harbor are changing channels. They often land on this one, Channel 19, Valley Shore Community TV, which of course is online. So you'll get a gift disc of today's show
Oh, wow.
to take home. And then you can always look it up online. How wonderful is that?
Yeah. That is a real gift. Today is a gift.
Aren't we all poets, though, in some different way?
Anybody who's
Anybody.
allowed themselves to feel the experience of suffering.
Wow. How should I prepare myself for this poem?
Well, this poem started in 1991. Most of it's from 1991, when I was having night sweats in the early days of HIV/AIDS. In 1990s, early 90s, that is referred to as the Great Die-Off. People were just dying exponentially. And in 1995, with the advent of this new drug called protease inhibitors,
Yeah.
we've managed to decrease the deaths. But this is written in the Great Die-Out. I just want to record the experience of having night sweats. So how much time do we have?
Sorry, go to break when? Now? Oh, we may have to rush that poem.
Really?
Keep going.
Okay. It's called Night Sweats.
Yeah.
There is a pencil in my mouth to keep chattering teeth from chipping, lips open, saliva dripping, bones seemingly shatter, sharp shards shooting outward, deeply aching from within. Mother of all rivers, my body pours out streams, soaking the sheets, trembling, violently shaking, soak in dread.
Wow.
Bathing in a sickly sweet smell like melting marshmallow flesh, in a fetal pose of soggy bread.
God. Oh.
Violent waves of uncontrollable spasms, like conscious seizures, rhythmically moving the entire bed. I wonder, how long will this fever last? I wonder how many more people need to suffer from AIDS. I wonder who will miss me when I'm gone. Will my friends know that when I die, this world will cease? For all that I cherish, as a result of all that I am, for all that I hold dear, because of what I've learned, for all those who I've loved in my own unique way, will no longer be cherished, will no longer be held so tightly, will no longer be loved by me.
Oh, man.
The world that I live in will decay into the earth that holds so many unique perceptions, and I will know truth at last. Every lost life is a loss too great to measure. I wonder if we haven't become too complacent about accepting death. Dawn arrives. The fever is breaking. Finally, my body stops shaking. Water recedes like a damp, dank, low tide, casting hope for another day's ride. I wonder, how many more fevers can I endure before death finally arrives or there is a cure?
Could you put that robe on to dramatize what happens to all our friends from 90 to 95?
Oh, I don't know. It's sort of like, yeah.
Oh.
I don't know, but
Yeah. Thank
No.
you. You have a gift for rhyme. Yeah, it's come through, but also music in the lines. We're going to go to break. And thank you, Alex. I've had a wonderful half hour, which is worth viewing over and over and over again, right? Thank you.
well, this is going to be made into an event for World AIDS Day, December 1st, redone
December 1st, World AIDS Day,
Yeah.
redone.
to give people an experience of what the 80s was like. So,
Those 80s, yeah.
and that's your next guest is going to be transforming this into a visceral experience. That period.
And what's his name?
His name is Noah Smith.
Ah,
And honestly, he's the one who's made me realize I was somewhat metaphorically impaired. So I'm sure you're in for a treat, and do not turn off the channel.
don't change the channel. Thank you. That was.
Get it. Get it.
Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Is she gonna get it, Daddy?
She'll get it. Get it. Get it.
When you bring home a Goodwill find, you give your whole town a reason to celebrate because you're also funding local job training and placement programs in tech, healthcare, and more. Goodwill. Bring good home.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Community TV, your neighborhood TV.
Publicly funded and a reliable partner for cable companies nationwide. It provides transparent coverage of local and state government, education, and public programming.
A digital town green that can be watched anywhere, anytime, and on any device.
Watch us on today's high-tech distribution methods.
Community TV in Connecticut.
Local,
unfiltered,
reliable, and yours.
In gruel is where the banana fame waits. In Drew to think itself or anywhere sunflowers droop each morning. Boarding another shuttle to run from the real dyer's eye or to sit in serenity. When the sweater's rent tells shutters to bedwetters is a pointless when the goal is to possess any words to hit me in the head just as a backup. And I am certain that any real desire to help is dead. Don't you understand? Don't you understand? See, Over here we have me, and over here we have all the people who are connected to my brain. And as I push the button to cause the brain matter to decay, and I push this button to access my spiritual and the internet and my thoughts others give for me, I am in heaven. I know my life is happy, and I know that I am destined to be loved by everyone and liked by everyone, and I'll get all the things I have ever wanted. A banana filling slices and splits my evening so that I am a reflection of what my willpower has for itself anymore. To ride from meaningless to whatever I think is fun and better is not ever happened. Then hits the bell with the warm hammers on my certain patterns. The too early refreshment is the key to recovering your speeches. Will you cherish me, but yet leave it out completely? Each new thing being simply an empty need. A half-lit serenade struck by coins on a string resonates in the hall. Each new thing simply being an HD done. The disgrace, the heart strung with a burlesque played for all. The sound of the first chamber slammed shut with a massacre and being right on. In my hand caught my side the key to a being that foresees the shells of nonsense will be not to neuter me. The breath remains sidestepped and the world is a stage where the audience sits to await. Will I be king to be me, or will the interactive chatter yet in years to come splatter across the windows, clarity and smoke symbol of receptors battered beyond repair, with the dots being these ducks that migrate daily based on comfort levels, is training me to become more. Well, I will cut my tongue, and maybe I'll pike it on display for the real guardians of spirit. May it be a sacrifice of my will. Eventually the ice will threaten to chill, but that's not the discussion. Eventually the ice will threaten to chill, but that's not the discussion. There are many more frills of relief than bills to be reread. One is the miracle of Portland and said to see. I've been imagining the snitch in this morning, reading a filler of medications. I am 20 times less real than repeating the message. Your vote is heated against your blood with the sharp and the beautiful sound of the rain heard over the phone, sounding in a nice big cold room, and some soft music. But because then, if you become sweet, text and soft points, the latent color of boredom is stored indoors upon the open or unopened. Will you, if you deal with the fear, for its night is clouded and smoked in another worthless regression? Worlds lose meaning. We remain hopeful, we'll be free to dance over breaks on in the up. Eventually, the ice will threaten to kill. Eventually, because of the language that I'm supposed to do, no, it speaks no. Best if I never call me when it says to Braille, and it's part of it. Let's get romantic started. Singing the song, the silences of the straight struck out nonsense, past illusions but the skin of whichever the plant travels, a pint of soup with the ocean. Moments this presents to walk across the room, to disrupting my world with vibes you can taste, the effulgent fringe of lobster, tense thinking of the shores with their snaps and familiar glass, towards the quality of streaming alternative wonder in these Lord days calling pools to the pyramids pitching comes to ashes. Oh no, did I leave this songbook open to the page about ways to overcome these words open? The door feels back, my deep I am a particular bruises, and here home is also true. Tenor sisters have I sometimes punched in. I wouldn't drink the restaurant, which probably knows, but the choice is mine. When you bend over and give the wine away, watch me do it. I have the morning sun scratch my skin, and a bulb to place pneumonia banners. Meanwhile, the distance between the base and employee sounds torn washers. I am riding independent pastures and sitting down straighter. Get out of my bathroom, where I touch. In the sword sinks aches with a stink dropped with checks, each strip pitched. Loads and checks. The freezer is filled, but the ice won't set. My own portions of the pure piles. I take the books hidden behind. New
freezes for handwriting styles which disappear seasonally when we struggle to locate a big reference for piles of academia. Zero targeted code, all objects for PlayStations and Swiss Miss, plush animals and dirty towers. And Basil, she denies her role from the stepfather. You're clear my mind and what is what this is. I time how long you are going to plant one and how long. You can't change the channel on me. I will change the channel on you. You can't change the channel on me. I will change the channel on you. If you try to change the channel on me, I will change the channel on you. Turn the TV off and see what it do. Canceling each other is so real. Yeah.
I don't care what you are, you do. Change your channel on me, I'll change it on you. I don't care who you are or what you do. Change your channel on me, I'll change it on you. I don't care who you are or what you do. Change the channel on me, I'll change it on you. I don't care who you are or what you do.
Hello? Is this thing on? Probably. I wrote some music to go over this next one. My name's Noah Michael Smith. And here we go. That last one was called Poetry Party. This one's whatever you want to think. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Dark shades cover the cracks dividing panels of fence stacks. There are small airplanes with small passengers and small toadstools with large-sized depictions of Jesus suffering on the cross. There are long threads running from one end of my CGI heart and to the other end of my CGI stomach. I'm not going to rush this process of the thread being cut. There comes a point in a sheep's spleen where you must decide to see how you are supposed to see my eyes and half my face above the fence. I'm going to take a telephony, get away to the spaces between fence dikes. Two-pronged electrical sockets watch me correct to a proper posture. You have to wake up and decide that no more will the bliss is too well to toll the hours, but only once each hour. This is the choice a real esophagus would make. I'm a mindful squid in an anniversary of sweet talking, moments of standing up for your belts, cuddling, but you aren't full of what you say. A spiral, each rung curling back in. Today is the only I aside the chores be shared. The sky is clear as another way to lose my mind. The drive will be fine if you let it all right. Open the window snap panel. On the inside you will try to find stems of flowers in a coffee bind. The sunflowers crying psalms obese with fats happy and curtains grind. On the other side is a nap of acids and steins, built by monopolized use fireside of a placid plaid and secondary suede. Each piece must fit nicely in a handmade videos of the meat's premium. I will hold the tip of the heated metal rod. Home is at the hardest, skins my palate. For my prattle branch with vanity stressed down demon does reach in the hair of auxiliary birds, crashing clever in crammed in voice. Is the most problematic stains in my ear is a song of leafy greens, gone soft and moist. My fans move oxygen like a bouquet and churns butter. Like a heart that desireth the magma flows in the center of the video game volcanoes. Like the artifact needs WD-40. Like the cream needs salt, needs pepper, needs sugar, greets lightly channeled on the pin's bride inside you, try to find the charm of flowers. I am tired hanging around with these moors with my sniper father, who casts bookshelves in umber, specializing in the finishes on woods, which come up black when someone ties white V-neck tees onto delinquent fees. I'm just looking RN for anyone kissed too, with lotions dried and rolled into crepes, with dental floss gnaws on, the trunks to face brother and exhausted, stoop sitting, should be piping, but probably crashes out onto an ember slash, on footstools shaped like opaque hearts, near a rusty bike-locked refuse. Dad has crucified skin cells that press from pocked accessory, from perforations in the hard helmets like Play-Doh. To go home with a bucket of shift fresh is sadly printed on light waves, but never within cores down on white atmosphere hairbrush. The function of consistently cause to spot this color of servitude. The previous Corel realms to buy one eBay necktie for nursed returners. I think I have a bug on me or something. A bug crawling all over me. By the way, for those of you who didn't see earlier, the wreath I put on that Frank brought in had some friends crawling on it. So we had a little party stomping out these birds. Anyway, Near the freezing spade stands a broke chime like direct deposit. Dad has a shell heart of refuge to state differently, boy, that's a threat. The emphasis of a crosshair is for anyone to haul the meaning searchlighted, to be big about its ambivalence and send peppy messages like grease from lunch buffet coating coffee tables. Making waves about detail and these worlds with my hypergather. Do post in other glimmers in the fishes. Don't worry, we didn't kill the bugs. We caught them very nicely and safely, okay? And we put them outside. Forgot to add that part. This is appropriate for today's theme. To kill a wild pig just once in strict punishment. Some children stood in front of the large eyes and wanted to hold them back. To eat too round and fat. And why don't you know me? Asked the piece of meat. What will the children say when the pork is done cooking? A worm resides within. No sooner said than done, comes squealing to the surface. One asked to open the trunk, the other glanced at the paper. He looked a lot like a pig. Then came a child who had no coat and was frozen, who moaned, "Here's what I done it. No eye for the jagged cliff. The clouds rip open my soul. It's not my fault when from the dome comes the ring of bells." There was a dark portion of finest nobody, so hungry. The man lies as if dead upon the ground, comes closer even, and sings a song to pass time. It has the very wondrous wild ache. At best, not at all to consider finding myself a better friend. Ah, give to me. Give me something to eat. Ring, ring, devil, ring. Falling, suddenly the stars are. What shall it mean? I cannot think it. And with the unwavering singing voice, the child to the most beautiful mocking, fading, the evening sunshine. Thank you. Those were a couple of poems that I've written. Next, we're going to share a very beautiful track from an album that I worked on to create with my good friend and composer and Garrett Fry. And we wrote this album last year in 2019. The album's called Suddenness by Svelte. And so if you go to Spotify, you can find Svelte, that's S-V-E-L-T, on Spotify, Bandcamp. Enjoy this song.
Flakes fade from broke waves of glittering spar have rushed balsami in all ways and in all ways
Thank you, Noah. That was a visceral wham. And I changed the channel once, but then I turned it right back. Thanks, Alex.
My pleasure. Thank you for having us.
And you two make quite a team. So it's a wrap. We had a wonderful time together. Obviously, we're playing. And in so many ways, there was a metaphor there. HD40. I loved it. WD40. Thank you for tuning in. Don't ever change the channel. We'll be back.